Special weather news Eastern Pacific and Mexico. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our weather news program. We are very pleased to be with you today in this special edition, bringing you a comprehensive update on meteorological activity across the Eastern Pacific, Central America, and Mexico, along with related developments that may directly affect coastal residents in the coming weeks. While much of the public's attention has recently focused on the Atlantic and Caribbean, where the hurricane season reached a peak of activity in mid-August, meteorologists are now shifting their focus to the Pacific Basin. Forecasts suggest that within the next 2 weeks, 1 to 2 new tropical cyclones may form, with at least one system potentially tracking close to Mexico's southern and western coasts. This development requires close monitoring, as it could affect maritime safety, international shipping lanes, and the daily lives of millions living along the Pacific shore. Current situation. As of this morning, Tropical Storm Juliet continues to hold its strength while moving northward. The good news is that Juliet's trajectory remains largely over open waters, with no expected landfall and no direct impacts on Mexico's coast. Residents along the shoreline can remain at ease for now. Still, Juliet is only one small piece in the broader picture of this hurricane season. Since the start of the season, the Eastern Pacific has recorded 12 tropical storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. Among them, only Hurricane Eric made direct landfall in southern Mexico. All other systems have moved offshore toward the west or northwest, steadily away from land. This offshore tendency is typical in the region, but it can also create a sense of complacency among residents. In fact, when compared with past hurricane seasons, 2025 has so far been quieter. The Accumulated Cyclone Energy Index, ACE, a key measure of overall seasonal activity, currently ranks this season at 40th out of the past 55 years, below average in intensity. The reason lies in global climate patterns. Historically, when the Atlantic is highly active, the Eastern Pacific tends to be calmer, and vice versa. This inverse relationship has been observed for decades. Indeed, while the Atlantic roared with activity during late August, the Pacific remained relatively subdued. Now, however, conditions are set to flip. Forecasts suggest a lull in the Atlantic for the next week, giving the Eastern Pacific an opening to reawaken. Potential development. According to the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, a low-pressure area has formed off Central America, with about a 30% chance of developing into a tropical cyclone within the next week. Current projections indicate a west-northwest track over open waters, posing no direct threat to coastal populations. In addition, the NHC has highlighted another area of interest off southern and western Mexico, also with about a 30% chance of development. This potential system could be linked to the remnants of Invest 99L, which recently crossed Central America. If it moves over the Pacific under favorable conditions, it could evolve into a tropical storm. The Climate Prediction Center, CPC, of NOAA further indicates that the probability of cyclone formation off southern Mexico could rise to 40% between September 3rd and 9th. With sea surface temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius, near perfect conditions for storm intensification, any low-pressure system that tracks parallel to Mexico's southern or western coasts could strengthen rapidly, unless upper-level wind shear intervenes. Model guidance. The USGFS model suggests a possible low forming south of Guerrero and Michoacán later this week, tracking west-northwest over the ocean. In some scenarios, the storm edges closer to the coast, particularly near Guerrero, Michoacán, and Colima, though this remains uncertain at a 7+ day range. The European ECMWF model points to a tropical depression forming in about 7 to 8 days, well south of Baja California Sur, and likely moving out to sea without direct land impacts. Germany's ICON model offers a more aggressive scenario, forecasting a defined cyclone south of Michoacán Guerrero in as little as 5 days, skimming parallel to the coastline while remaining offshore. Despite differences, all 3 models broadly agree that if storms form, their tracks will most likely remain over the Pacific. Still, less common scenarios, including landfall into Baja California Sur, cannot be ruled out. Ensemble forecasts. which run dozens of variations, also show the majority of tracks offshore, with a minority approaching closer to land. Seasonal context and risks. From June to now, storm activity in the eastern Pacific peaked briefly in July but slowed dramatically in August. Nearly 3 weeks passed without any tropical formation. This explains the below-average ACE index. While a quiet season can reduce vigilance, experts stress that a single strong landfalling storm is enough to cause catastrophic impacts. Hurricane Eric earlier this season demonstrated this vulnerability. Though not a major hurricane, its direct strike on southern Mexico caused heavy rainfall, flash flooding, and landslides, displacing thousands. This was a sobering reminder of how even one storm can bring severe consequences. Even when storms stay offshore, impacts are significant. Heavy rainfall along Mexico's Pacific states, Chiapas, Oaxaca, Guerrero, Michoacán, and Colima, can trigger flash floods and landslides due to mountainous terrain. Agriculture also remains at risk. Moderate rainfall benefits crops such as corn and coffee, but excessive downpours can devastate fields and disrupt harvests. Maritime commerce faces challenges as well. Major Pacific ports such as Acapulco, Manzanillo, and Lázaro Cárdenas are vital gateways for trade. Storm warnings can force vessel cancellations or rerouting, with major economic costs. High seas also threaten coastal fishing communities. Forecast uncertainty remains a key issue. Small changes in wind shear, high-pressure ridges, or ocean currents can dramatically alter cyclone tracks. History provides warnings. In 2013, Tropical Storm Manuel rapidly intensified and struck Guerrero with deadly floods. Despite early forecasts suggesting only a weak system, such cases highlight the need for vigilance. Broader perspective. Beyond Mexico, neighboring Central American nations, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua, must also monitor potential impacts. Should remnants of Invest 99L regenerate in the Pacific, these nations could face heavy rains, floods, and landslides, especially in mountainous communities. International trade and shipping could also be disrupted, as storms force rerouting of vessels across the Pacific. Rising transport costs and supply chain delays are global consequences of tropical cyclones in this region. From a climate perspective, the alternating activity between the Atlantic and Pacific again underscores global linkages. ENSO, El Niño-La Niña, cycles shape wind shear and ocean heat distribution. This year's neutral ENSO state has produced a more balanced pattern, but still maintains the seesaw between the two basins. Outlook. Looking ahead to September 3 to 15, conditions appear increasingly favorable. This is traditionally the seasonal peak for the Eastern Pacific, and environmental factors now support higher activity. Experts believe at least one storm could reach Category 1 to 2 intensity, with the possibility of a Category 3 hurricane if development occurs offshore in warm waters. Key message. The most important message tonight: do not be complacent. While no system currently threatens Mexico directly, forecasts can shift quickly. Coastal residents should continue following daily advisories, prepare emergency plans, and heed official warnings from meteorological authorities. Ladies and gentlemen, as we've seen, the weather outlook over the next 2 weeks for the Eastern Pacific carries both uncertainty and risk. While most scenarios keep storms offshore, Mexico's warm coastal waters raise the chance of rapid intensification should a system form close to land. Vigilance and preparedness remain essential. Thank you for joining us for this special bulletin. Please like, share, and subscribe to stay informed of the latest weather developments. Good night, and we'll see you in our next update.